One of the hardest lessons we face in life is learning that things don't always happen the way we want them to. Many struggle with this harsh reality because the future is uncertain, and uncertainty often brings anxiety. The worry that someone has when they don't know where they are headed, and the things that you were looking forward to end up being completely different or ended up never even happening. And to that, I would like to remind you, in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, it says, "To everything there's a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." In life, timing matters a lot. One of the worst things that you can do for someone is give them something that they are not in any way prepared for. And there's a good reason for this, and that is because to everything there's a season in life. You see, in life, we go through different stages. In order to get to the main goal, for you to get to the top of the mountain, you must take the first step, then the second, and then the third, and so on, in order for you to get to the very top. Allow me to give you an example that makes it easier for you to understand. Let's say Amelia wants to be a heart surgeon. For you to achieve this dream, you need to go to school, and for that you need to be able to graduate. You must study many years so that you can actually perform a heart surgery. Now, imagine someone was able to give her a magic button, and this button allows her to skip all the lessons and instantly become certified as a heart surgeon. While it may seem like a shortcut to success, it would actually be a recipe for disaster. The second that Amelia gets a patient in that operating table, she will have no idea what to do because she skipped the progress to get to the end goal. Now let's consider a different example. Let's say a homeless man suddenly receives $10 million. On the surface, this may seem like a blessing, but once again, the process of laying your foundations to get to those $10 million for him never existed. You see, studies show that many lottery winners who aren't financially prepared often end up worse than before. Why? Because they didn't go through the financial process of building financial wisdom that would get them there in the first place. Now I want you to think over this. Let's say that you went to sleep and then you woke up the next day being the CEO of a massive company with over 800 employees, and their families relied on you and their jobs for you to constantly make decisions and manage all aspects of the business. Do you think you'll be able to handle this? The pressure of knowing that over 800 families depended on you to make ends meet. That is why I want you to put your faith in what God has planned for you, patiently. We are all under a certain season, and if you trust in the Lord and change your mindset, you will look back at everything you went through and be grateful. Grateful for every struggle, every challenge, and all the emotions that you had to go through in order to get to where you want to be. You see, something that I found interesting is that you can actually find that trusting God's plan was something big throughout the entire Bible. Every disciple had a challenge that they had to overcome in order to grow. This timing thing even happened to Moses. Moses felt that he was meant to deliver his people and try to act before God's timing, but God did not let this happen. The reason for this was that God knew exactly when the time to act was. It was only many years later, after he had learned humility, patience, and dependence on God. This was because Moses had to be humbled by God, and then he waited patiently, knowing that his time would come. He held on to his faith, and that day finally came. So let me ask you this: are you ready? Do you really think you are ready to take the next step? I'm asking you this because Moses also thought that he was ready to lead the people, but in truth he was not. But he didn't know that. It was only God that knew when the right time was. It is only God that knows when your time will come, so we must wait patiently because His plan is perfect, and in God you must trust. I remember hearing this from Cliffy, and it made a lot of sense. I really believe that God answers your prayers in 3 ways: no, not yet, and yes. The first one is no, and it's actually really hard for some people to hear, but this is the truth. I'm not here to lie to you and say that you will always get what you want, because that would be lying. Because you see, God will always give you what you need, not what you want, in His time, according to the plan that He has for you. You see, I have not always gotten what I wanted, and by no means doesn't mean that I will be blessed with everything I want just because I believe in God. It doesn't work like that. Whatever it is that you're hoping to get might not actually be what God has planned for you. And looking at life in different lenses will actually change your life's point of view. A switch of mindset, instead of "why me, God?" you switch off to a "I'll be patient and wait for your timing, God." And talking about this, I actually want to share a story that happened to me. When I was around the age of like 15, 16, my parents were going to help me get my first car. And for some reason, I wanted to get a very nice car. And where we were getting our cars from was a page that did auctions. So the highest bidder was the one that got the car. And so I looked for many weeks with my parents to get a nice car. A car that would be a nice fit for me. And after looking for a few weeks, we found it. It was a beautiful yellow Chevrolet Camaro. It was in the year 2019, I believe, with beautiful rims and the 2 black lines going right through the middle, just like the Bumblebee in the movie Transformers. And at the time, I thought that this was the perfect car and that it was going to be mine. And once I saw that, I started celebrating in my head, and I couldn't wait to get to customize it and drive it around and show it off to all my friends. And then on the day of the auction, we went to the website and the bid started, and we had a certain amount of money that we wanted to put down in order for us to get the car. And we're like, okay, we're not going over this amount of money because that would be too much, and we didn't have enough to even go over that certain amount of money. And after like half an hour, the auction came to an end, and someone had actually outbid us, and we didn't get the car. And I remember just being so upset about it for like a whole day. I was quiet, and I felt so dumb for celebrating something too early, thinking it was going to be for me, but ended up never happening. But later on I ended up making a 180-degree turn, and I just changed completely what I wanted, and I decided to get a different car with way less mileage. It was way more reliable, it had way more space, it costed way less money too, which was actually so much better because someone at that age was not going to be able to handle that car. And looking at it from a financial point of view, there's no way a 16-year-old me would have been able to afford that car, because in any case, if it broke down or I needed a place repaired or just gas, which is one of the main costs of maintaining a car, also insurance, I would not have been able to afford any of that. So looking back at this experience that I had, it's not what I wanted, but God gave me what I needed. So at that time, that car was sadly just a straight no. It would not have worked out for me. But the thing is that at the time, I did think it was going to be for me, but it turns out that it was not. And this can be in the sense of many relationships that you think are going to be good, but end up never happening. Maybe jobs that you want to get, but God knows that you will be miserable if you do end up getting that job. So it is all part of God's plan. Now anyways, moving on to the next one is not yet. This comes from previous examples that God will bless you in your due time. If you want to be a heart surgeon, you will be one. But first you have to get through all the struggles, all the seasons that come with the path that you have chosen, in order for you to be able to build the foundation for you to get to the top. The final one is yes. Yes is when you have done your part and God has blessed you for your work. This can be many things like goals, investments, studying, small time frames like, for example, working 80 hours and then getting paid, studying for your test and passing it. Remember, this can be in many ways when you get an answer of yes, or also be in the long terms. In anything in life, you will get those three answers. And I want you to remember, you reap what you sow. Have faith in God's plan. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in this time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end.